Thank you. Me
Welcome,
too.
everyone. We are live. My name's Jeff St. Laurent, and in just a minute, I'm going to bring on a great client of mine. Before we get going right there, I do record all of my Tuesday live shows. I put them on my university at sellingcoaching.com. Check it out there. I help coaches transition to a full-time business, obviously, which we're going to talk to one of them in just a second. I have a lot of great resources on my website, sellingcoaching.com. If you want to start off right on the homepage, if you enter your name and email, that's going to get you a great resource. It's an audio resource called Launching Your Coaching Business, the First 3 Vital Steps. That's also going to put you in my email community, which is going to get you some great information on a weekly basis. That's going to help you on your way towards a full-time coaching business. Now, without any further ado, one of my great coaching clients who went through my 5-month program, Javier Peñalba, welcome to the 5-month. Welcome to the live show, man. Good to have you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to be here and to share whatever can be helpful for anyone that's watching this right now.
Yeah. And I love to have my students on after I work with them for a little bit, whether it's one-on-one or my groups, because especially in the 5-month program, right? We go through so much together and it's so zoomed in, not only with the calls we have with the groups, but we have a lot of one-on-ones outside of that. And I think what particularly was impressive with you is to see you were in my email I wrote up. I don't know if anyone saw that, but it was you came in wide-eyed and ready to learn. And what I appreciated about you is you did the work. You're like, Jeff, tell me what to do. I told you what to do, and you went out there and did it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more because you did a lot in the 5 months and also went through a lot personally, getting married amongst, small things, honeymoon, things like that. So I think it's important to show people, the ups and downs and the challenges along the way of starting yourself off. So if we rewind when we started off together, you came into the 5-month program, let people know who are watching this, kind of maybe where you were in your coaching business and kind of what was your initial thoughts in terms of why you felt you needed some help.
Yeah. Well, when I initiated with the 5-month program with you, with the GoPro, taking that little course through IPEC, that's the online videos that we can watch there. And so I already had a little bit of an idea of what to do based on your teachings, right?
Yeah.
So I had already a website, for example. I was creating once in a while a video, let's say a video a month, or maybe a blog post or something like that. But what I was missing is really the know-how, even maybe some guidance in terms of how to address specific cases, how to communicate with people, how to sell. That's the part that, of course, I was getting a little bit of an idea already, but the specific cases, that was like the hard part for me. So when I started, like I said, I had some things, but then of course you pushed us in the program to, based on where we were at that specific moment when we started, and then from then on to be able to build upon that. And as I already had a little bit of something done in the past, so I felt that what I needed the most is when I had contacts, how to talk to them. And that's why I was writing to you so much, like, okay, I got this person right here. He's asking something. How do I do this? And that's really, really where I felt I got the most help from you.
Yeah. No, and honestly, that's where I felt like you progressed the most is in what I call the qualification process, right? Is you were really good you started off webinar, right? Like right out of the gates, you're like, let's do a webinar. And you kept doing it and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to do these webinars, inviting people, and obviously your emails, starting up your show. But then from there, you started having conversations and I feel like that's really where you thrive the most and went through the most ups and downs is your journey to getting your paying clients, which you did get, and you've still been getting paying clients, but talk about the path, behind the scenes of the back and forth conversations that brought you to one of your first paying clients, that we got you to.
Well, first, I was doing the work, as you're saying, like weekly. I was just doing a little weekly show and then putting those videos on YouTube. So some people were starting to notice me on YouTube. And then one of them, actually my first client, saw my videos on YouTube, and then he came to me, right? So in the past, probably I wouldn't really have known what to do with that, right? But having the guidance, uh, I think I came to you right after I got the first message, like, "Hey, I'm actually interested. I resonate a lot with your story. That's the first thing, something that you taught us to really show the story. I resonate with this part of what you're saying." And then he was already showing a little bit of interest also in the coaching part. So I came to you. We had some conversations on how to address that, and then that's the hard, I would say, the hard part, but the most the part that can bring in the most surprises, the qualifying process and these conversations. And then I think I simply responded, uh, like invited this person to have, because he already showed some interest, right? So to have this 15-minute call, just like as you said, the qualifying process, and see where that took us, and just follow the process. Then I had the complimentary session, 1 hour call. That was amazing, and then we started right off. So that was my first client. You could say it was pretty smooth, and I was also surprised, like, it cannot be this smooth. Some people come directly with, "I have this problem, I need help." In others, they might just have a couple of questions, and then you want to help them, and the best way to help them is actually through coaching, not just responding to questions or advising. And that's what has been the hardest, let's say, for me, because I tend to simply respond to what people ask me, give out whatever they want. It's my level 4 there, like compassion and giving. And I think that's what I got the most from you. Like, you can help the most through coaching, but be patient. You don't need to respond everything they ask. Take them through the process. And when you don't know what to do, let's just have a 10-15 minute call, or send me an email. And then that I can use that learning in the next potential client. So I think it's been great. I've had a couple of clients already following the process and learning from each experience.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest shift for you has been and I want to highlight what you said, is that people used to come to you and ask you a bunch of questions, and even asking for help and stuff like that. And you'd start to send me emails, and you were like, "Oh," and you're these long emails where you're like helping people out. And I was like, "Wait a minute, Javier, we gotta not answer these questions. We gotta say, like, oh, I'd love to learn a little bit more about why you're asking this stuff. Would you be open to jumping on a call, or tell me a little bit more about that?" Right. So we kind of shifted your mindset, like you were talking about level 4, the compassion, the giving, which all of us has as a coach, is we want to help people. But how we actually get them as a client and help them, and then really answer all those questions, is by understanding what they're going through as to why they're asking that in the first place. And that's where I've seen for you, amongst all the other progression you've had, even in our recent conversations, setting up this, interview right now, was even some of the things you share with me is that's where I've seen your progression the most, is your ability to just kind of sit back and wait to help, and allow the other person to say more, ask more questions, get them on a call, and then take them through the process. And that's a tough thing to do right out of the gates, because instinctually as a coach, that's where we want to go. But that's not a way of actually getting business. We start to help people, and then it really doesn't go anywhere. No. And so that's exciting to see you have done that. Talk about kind of your evolution in terms of the work and how you've integrated that with your life. Because like you said, in the 5 months, you got married. I forget when we started, but I think you got married in December of last year, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then you went on a honeymoon, not to mention, the holidays, New Year's, and then coming back and for the first like 2.5 months, I think, before you got married, like you pushed really hard. Then obviously getting married, honeymoon, it was kind of like a full-on stop. Coming back in, almost a little burnt out. Would you say that?
Well, You could say, I don't know where I heard this, but it's a little bit like if life gets in the way, but it's not really like that, right? You know, everything is happening like many things can happen at the same time, and I at the same time want to do my business, right? So when you say, yes, everything that you're saying is true. I got married last December. It was a civil wedding. I had a pre-honeymoon, you could say, like about 2 weeks, but then we're getting the church wedding actually in 4 days on the 18th of June. Then my family's coming tomorrow from
Oh, wow.
Nicaragua and from Chile. That's why I was arranging a little bit here at the house, and then we're gonna have about 3 weeks off. So we're going to Greece. We have there the real honeymoon. It's gonna be big. So really it's been like that on top of my daily my day job. You know, I'm not full-time yet in the coaching business. So really what's kept me there is discipline, really. So every week having what you called office hours, even if those office hours are outside of your day job. And that's really been the hardest part, because sometimes I just want to go do something, I don't know, with my wife, and I still might do it, you know, but then I want to compensate for that missed office hour at another time. So really using my calendar and saying, okay, I couldn't do this, that's fine. Having a little bit of self-compassion as well, so that I don't burn out. I don't burn out on guilt also, or on pressure that I can put on myself, because I tend to be like that. If I don't follow what I say, I feel like, oh, I'm not really progressing, you know, and then doing it at another time. And then if I cannot do, for example, a weekly show during a week, that's fine. That's also okay if it's too much what I have at that time, and then just do it next week, and nobody's gonna die because of that, you know.
Right.
So that's, I think that combination of discipline plus self-compassion, understanding that sometimes life has other plans for you, and you just have to follow that, and then just try to compensate as much as you can whenever you can. And I think that consistency, really keep the more you keep doing it, uh, the more of an impact you'll have, and then the more people will come to you. But if you just stop for many months in a row, chances are lower.
Yes. Yep, exactly. And I think that's the part that I wanted people to hear that you talked about, right? Is that you had the wedding, and then based on your celebration, now I didn't know that was happening now, you know. And I love how you celebrate, man. This is like a big process, you know, and going away for 3 weeks. So not a lot of people do that. So it's ongoing, and then your full-time job and so forth and so on, not to mention everyday life. But that's the reality of what a lot of us coaches are looking to do with their business. And you've been through all that. You've been very consistent, and and even hearing you talk now, it's cool because we haven't talked that much since the program ended. And just hearing the evolution of kind of the way you're treating yourself, and respecting the ebbs and flows of what your life is requiring of you, and how that translates to what you do or don't do with your business. That's the key. That's the key. I'm finding that I'm hearing that in you, is you're the self-compassion. I think that's the word you used, right?
Yeah, totally. That's that I think that brings that balance to consistency and to effort. So you can do a lot, and that's totally fine. But if something happens in between, and then you cannot do it, you'll feel guilty or you'll feel bad, and then that can create more stress. So you probably won't have the energy or the motivation to keep going if you keep stressing yourself so much. So bringing in a little bit of that mindset, including mindfulness as well, staying present, knowing that this is important, yes, but it's not absolutely important. It's relatively important for in the long term. Let's say this is just a little dot there. If you see it from a bird's eye view, and it's an important step that if you cannot take today, all right, just take it, but maybe tomorrow. And that balance, I think it's because I've seen other people that just abandon it when they don't see progress, or what else, you know, just they can keep going while giving themselves that space. I think that can bring in a lot of good results in the long run.
Absolutely. No, but that's what has been impressed me about you, is your ability to find that discipline, the self-compassion, so you can keep going and build this as it goes along.
Yeah.
Before we start to wrap this up, I'm going to put your website in the chat for everyone to check out. But so tell us about not so much your website, but your message, because I think that was obviously the big thing coming into our work together, was really diving in and finding that nice tight message for you, which I love what you have, because it's super specific and it really backs by your story and what you've gone through.
Yeah. So you mean my message regarding my niche, right?
Yeah, you run your niche in terms of who you're helping. Yeah.
Yeah. It took us some time to get there, right? But it is
Yeah.
helping people with fear of commitment to create fulfilling relationships. So pretty much what that means is, well, I can backtrack a little bit. Just go back to my story. I've suffered, let's say, from many symptoms of commitment phobia. So it's pretty much a fear of commitment, especially in relationships. And that means that after some time in a relationship, it's hard to stay there without getting anxious, without just finding ways to run away from it, right? Because you just feel a lot of pressure in the relationship. There's many reasons behind it, childhood things and etc. So that's, I said, like, I have a lot of experience on this. My life has been full of this. So that's where I narrowed down my niche. And it's been working. I think that maybe because it's so specific. I was so afraid. That was one of my main concerns. How can I really like, if I like to be very broad and to cover many things. That's part of the fear of missing out, maybe. So if I just do something so specific, how am I gonna feel comfortable with that? But I just said, like, trust, just stay there, see what happens. If you don't like it, just change it later. And it's worked so far, because I think that there's not many coaches tackling that commitment phobia or fear of commitment, specifically in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my message. Yeah.
And I love, and I think that's the biggest thing is for you is a lot of people like, oh, I want to niche down. I want to get specific. But then there's that fear of like, oh my God, I'm going to be missing out on stuff. But it works so well with your story. And I thought it was great because in the culmination of fear of commitment and relationships, you've done so much work on yourself, obviously getting married and things like that, like where, things based on the things I know about you, that never would have happened in the past. So it's kind of like a full circle to show your evolution and what you've been through. And now to show and give other people permission to say, like, it's possible, here's where I was and look at where I am now. And understanding something that I think, like you've said, a lot of people might not even know that's the reason why they can't be in a relationship, other than maybe obviously like, oh, I fear commitment, but not really understanding the finer details of it, like you've been able to, bring forth with your education.
Yeah, exactly. I think that that's a good thing that I learned maybe through the program, like to put myself as an example of what I'm like, to walk in my talk, and at the same time I'm the demo of what I do, because I'm actually getting married, and I'm committing to a specific topic. So that's also part of a fear of commitment. That's why I was afraid of committing to just a very narrow topic. So I said, let's just let's show myself that I can commit to something, even if for some time specifically to this topic, and then just do it. And as you say, there's a lot of finer details. It's not just as simple as saying, like, yeah, I'm afraid of commitment. There's many things that are behind that, and that's actually what I've had to work on myself in order to be able to really be in a relationship, be in a stable job, be now consistent with a specific niche and a specific message, and with coaching itself. And learning about that has been really a life journey. I can remember just that a little bit.
I'm losing you. You froze right now. So
More specific. Yeah, I think it cut out for a second.
now you're back in. Yeah.
Okay. I think it cut out for like 10 seconds or something.
Yeah. You're good now, though.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know up until which point you were able to hear.
Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day that it's been a lifelong journey for you, right?
Yeah.
And it's that evolution, and pulling this together. I just appreciate you because you had a profound trust in me, right? And I really admired and respected that trust because I saw it and I saw your willingness to do the work. And I remember there were we've had so many countless conversations, right? Like behind the scenes where I could tell you were like, not scared, right? I don't know if that's the right word, but just like you were at a point where you're like, help me out. I need guidance here because I don't know how to navigate this. But you're really open and trusting and willing. And I love that. I love that about working with you, man. And it's shown results for you because it's evolved you in your growth, not only to get actual, clients, but continuing on this path, especially when things got hard or life got in the way. You always kept that commitment to not only to me and the group, but more importantly to yourself and your potential clients out there.
Yeah, and I really appreciate also your guidance. It's very personalized, that's something that I really like. It's not like just like a general message for everyone, but really for my case, and with like you really know how to listen and to see what's going on, which is sometimes something that I'm missing, which is like, again, I really just believe everything that's written in an email, for example, and just go very straightforward to respond to everything, or believe that everything that's there is important. But you tell me, no, actually what they want is this, so
Yes.
I start to understand, okay, so it's not as straightforward. I really need to understand that, and that's worked. I think that's something that I really appreciate.
That's awesome, man. Listen, it's been awesome working with you. Thanks for coming on the show. Obviously, as we move forward, I'm always here for you, and who knows what the future will bring. But keep on your progress and keep your discipline. Thanks everyone for watching. Definitely go check out Javier's website. Subscribe to what he's got going on over there. He's got some really good stuff. At least you can see a role model of someone who's doing the work consistently. So Javier, thanks so much again.
Thanks a lot, Jeffrey. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.